Hey Matt, you there, man?
I'm here, Chris.
Okay, good deal. Okay, Matt. A lot going on in the financial world, as always, But there's Enron. There is Goldman Sachs caliber stuff going on right now with this Equifax deal, this breach that they're calling it that's happened here lately. You want to tell us a little bit what you know about that?
Well, it was a breach of information from Equifax. Equifax is a credit bureau, and they collate everybody's information and the information on 145 million people, including names, birth dates, social security numbers, addresses, and some driver's license numbers were quote hacked. And apparently, the hack was able to happen because one technician did not apply a very simple update patch. One technician, and so so the CEO Richard Smith. Um, Smith, you gotta like that, decided it's time to leave, and he got his $49 million walkaway. I don't even know if they've named the one guy that actually didn't put the patch on. And apparently I just read that 15 million of those people were in England. Equifax is a worldwide company based out of Atlanta, and so yeah, pretty big breach.
Yeah, well, this goes pretty deep here. I mean, if you look at everything that has transpired from this, and this was probably not as big of a story as what it should have been. And I'm looking at an article right now. How many people were affected? Well, it says 143 million people. Now, Matt, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people in the United States alone were hit.
Well, then they came out, and 2.5 more million people are potentially exposed. So they added a couple more million on top of that 143. So I just rounded it to 145. That's a huge breach, considering that there are roughly about 130 million working adults full time in the United States. That puts a little perspective on it. So 145 million. We'll subtract to England. We'll subtract to England 15. That gives us 130 million, and we've got 130 million plus or minus working. So basically, the information on anybody who's got money,
Right.
everybody who's working is potentially breached.
Okay. Well, right here, I'm looking at credit card numbers. Okay, others in the UK and Canada also were impacted, but Equifax hasn't said how many. I'm looking at an article, coincidentally, I mean, on CNN Tech. Credit card numbers for about 209,000 U.S. customers were compromised, in addition to personal identifying information for about 182,000 customers. Now, who was impacted? Equifax said it will send notices to the mail to people in the mail to people whose credit card numbers or dispute records were breached. The company said it found no evidence that consumers in other countries were affected beyond the U.S., UK, and Canada. Now, this is a pretty big deal, right, Matt?
I really think it is a huge deal. I think what we're going to see is fraud go through the roof. And I believe this is an essential component into bringing in cashless and people being chipped.
Yeah, and well,
You're talking name, dates, social security numbers, addresses.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, right here, what information? They're giving bullet points pretty much on this CNN article, and what information was accessed. The hackers assessed personal information such as names, social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, credit card numbers, and the numbers of some driver's license. My gosh, I mean, how was this not as big of a story as what it should have been? And then you have somewhat of a theory, and I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory, but you have somewhat of a theory that was Las Vegas staged to get people's minds off of this, so people wouldn't start asking questions about this.
Mm. Please do call it a conspiracy theory. I think people are foolish not to think that there's a lot of planning that's going on to control the world. So it is a conspiracy to do that. This coincided with this on purpose. It was something to take the camera off of this leak. I don't even think it was hacked. I think they stole it from themselves. To be honest with you. Because I think they're moving toward going having people chipped. And what better way to do that is we don't know who anybody is anymore because, my gosh, everybody's information is out there and we can't get it back.
Also, yeah, and also, if we had, speaking as advocate, if we had people chipped, then we could keep up with who's got what gun and where they're at, and if they're transporting these guns. Because if we chip guns as well, I mean, then we know how many guns are in a certain place at a public place. So, let's say if a certain person that we have chipped has 10 guns in a hotel room that are chipped as well, then my gosh, we know something's going on and we need to get on that, right?
I think that's just it's true, but a side note. But we know that the time is coming that you won't be able to buy or sell unless you get the mark of the beast.
Right.
I think we're really close to those times, and I think a lot of people have been lulled into to sleep because Christians have been saying this for so long that this is coming. It's in the Bible. There will be a cashless society which will require a chip to buy or sell, a mark to quote buy or sell. This moves us right along because once you have that, you have total control. You have total control what people buy and sell, do, say, um, and I think this could be it. I'm doing a pretty aggressive prediction of fraud going through the roof, especially with the Christmas everybody's buying. Nobody's watching their bills. Come February, everybody's going, my gosh, that's not even me. We'll see. Time will tell. And I think they're going to really press for getting this agenda implemented.
Yeah,
and I think just now for it to happen.
Right, and stuff like this, just gives them an excuse to do so, and it gives them an excuse to do so that the public will be in favor of, and I'm looking at the article right here. When did this happen? This happened between mid-May and July. It was discovered July 29th. It informed the public was informed on September 7th. How did this happen? Now, CNN is saying Equifax said criminals exploited a U.S. website application vulnerability to gain access to certain files. Well, that's basically saying they were hacked, but I mean, a company spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for further comment. And well, obviously, yeah, they don't want to talk about it. Who was behind the breach, the company hasn't clarified, but noted an investigation is ongoing. Well, this is kind of saying, I don't know, Matt, that right there kind of tells me nothing going on here, nothing going on. Just, keep going on, folks. Nothing going on here. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think that's why they did Vegas. I think it's because this is huge. Basically, everybody's information has just been released, and once again, I think Equifax stole from themselves. I mean, they're a global company. They're globalists, New World Order, digital chip. So once they steal it, they can do whatever they want with it. They can manipulate all the information however they want, and they're going to throw it's just fraud, fraud, fraud. You mark my words. We're going to see fraud go through the roof.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good that's a pretty good statement leading into my next point here that CNN made, and the point they're asking here is, am I at risk, and what is Equifax doing to help? And they answer, Equifax is proposing that customers sign up for credit file monitoring and identify theft protection. Well, they want you to sign up for something, They're wanting you to put your name on something else, Hey, put your trust in us, guys.
Right, exactly. Well, Equifax, their credit, I think they have two businesses, credit and security. And once again, you go back to what allowed, quote, the hackers to hack. You don't even have to be a hacker to get the information. It was such a basic, simple security patch that one person didn't update. And for them to tell us that you don't have, overlapping redundancies where multiple people checking security for the whole system, that everything can come down to one guy eating a donut instead of doing the update. I mean,
Pretty much,
it's
yeah.
laughable to me. It's laughable. One tech apparently didn't do it, so to me it's laughable. And then you come and tell me, oh, give us your information so we can protect it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're laughing at the American people.
Yeah, so you're basically, you're basically putting your trust in, uh, well, it's kind of like the air traffic controller, that allows a plane to go down or two planes to collide, that doesn't get fired, it gets a promotion after that, actually.
Right. Right.
It's kind of like that.
A proven loser.
Yeah.
A proven loser. Well, I mean, to add insult to injury, the IRS, after the breach, awarded Equifax a $7.2 million contract that would handle, sensitive material that people, information. And the outcry was so bad that Congress or whoever decided to suspend the contract. Suspend. I didn't say cancel. I said suspend.
Suspend. Well, to me, suspend says, we'll suspend it. In other words, we'll not, we'll hush about it until people forget about this and it blows over, and then we'll just continue right where we left off.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're looking the other way, we'll do what we want.
Right. And so, well, the CNN article continues. It is given free service for 1 year through its Trusted ID Premier. Oh, that's beautiful the way they worded that. Trusted ID Premier. Business, regardless of whether you've been impacted by the hack. This is the babysitter that let your kid go outside and play and it got kidnapped and killed, and you're hiring the same babysitter right back. And to enroll and or check, to enroll and or check whether you were affected, visit www.equifaxsecurity2017.com and click on the Check Potential Impact tab. You'll need to provide your last name, and, in other words, more personal information, and the last 6 digits of your Social Security number. Once submitted, you will receive a message indicating whether you've been affected. Then you have the option to enroll in the program, but you can't. You know what, Matt? It sounds to me like what they're doing is they're wanting people to put more and more trust into the system and to become deeper invested into the system right here. You can't go outside of the system, is what this is sounding like to me. And,
well, it's a dog and pony show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just making a lot of kicking up. We're doing something. We're doing something. Where they're laughing. They're just laughing. That's all they're doing.
They really are.
Are these people dumb enough to sign back up with more of the? I mean, what's done is done. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? The information is out.
Right.
You have 140 million prime. We're talking. These are the things that you protect, right? You protect your birth date. You protect your social security number. You jump through all the hoops, right? To protect your information, right? They tell you protect your information, so you jump through all the hoops. And here's the top security opening the door wide open and saying, you know what? Here it is, everybody. So, yeah, you just gotta laugh, right? I laugh because, you know, we know what's coming.
Right, and they continue on right here. Then you have the option to enroll in the program, but you can't actually sign up for the service until next week. Each customer is provided an enrollment date starting earliest on Monday. And they ask the question, can I sue Equifax? Can you sue Equifax? If you sign up for Equifax's offer of free identity theft protection and credit file monitoring, you may be limiting your rights to sue and be forced to take disputes to arbitration. But you can opt out of that provision if you notify the company in writing within 30 days. In addition, some attorneys argue that even if you don't opt out, the arbitration provision does not cover suits related to this breach. Then they ask the question, is anyone investigating the breach? Well, I mean, I thought it would be, mandatory that somebody would. New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman launched a formal investigation into the hack on Friday. Meanwhile, Congressman Ted Lieu, a Democrat from California, sent a letter to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, I guess that's how you pronounce that, and Ranking Member John Conyers, calling for a hearing to investigate the data breach. The House Financial Services Committee Chairman Jeb Hensarling, a Republican from Texas, also said his committee will hold a hearing on the breach. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is looking into the breach as well. It kind of sounds to me like they're just giving lip service there. I don't think there's going to be any serious investigation here.
Yeah, dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Yeah, lip service. Yeah, they're laughing.
Well,
They're laughing.
the final question that they ask is, it seems like cybersecurity hacks are happening a lot. Is this the biggest ever? The Equifax breach is one of the largest breaches ever. Some other high-profile examples include 2 breaches at Yahoo. The bigger one involved 1 billion accounts. The lesser impacted 500 million. And a hack at MySpace that involved 360 million accounts. So this is a huge breach. This is a huge hack job that kind of it's
they're comparing apples and oranges. I mean, with Yahoo and Equifax, you're getting top quality verified information. Yahoo, I mean, that's a bunch of avatars.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, really.
There's so much false, but with Equifax, they got the goods. They got the real deal.
Absolutely. I mean, this was.
They don't have to wait and go in. Is this guy a real person?
Yeah.
So they.
Yeah. I mean, Yahoo. That's like robbing the toy store, but this is like robbing the bank. Literally, this is like Fort Knox. I mean. Like you said, this is where the goods are. And I don't know, is it me or did this thing just blow over too quick? I mean, it was hush real quick. It's not in the forefront of the news. It's not on any of the headline pages that I'm reading. Fox News, USA Today, Yahoo. They're talking about, North Korea. And North Korea and Russia seems to be the distracting news articles that, keeps it off everything else. But, I mean, they're talking about the kneeling at the NFL games. They're talking about, of course they're talking about Las Vegas, which I mentioned before. Was that a ploy to get people's minds off of this? But this should have been a much bigger deal than what it has been. It's not been that big of a deal. It's not been talked about hardly at all. And,
and that's no accident.
No, I mean, they're talking about kneeling football players, hurricanes, and other things. And so, but they're not talking about this, which this could have long-term effects. The ripple effect of this could be enormous. It could be huge. This could be its own tsunami, an economic tsunami that we'll feel the reverberations later, but I mean, nobody seems to want to talk about it now.
Well, the more they distract us with these other things, and the Vegas thing was horrible. But it's horrible. But I go, well, this was deep state. This was shadow government. This was CIA. This was purposed by evil men. So
Yeah.
I don't even think it's an indictment on people in general, which is what they want to make it. They want to go, people are crazy. No, no, the people that are running the show are crazy. And so, you know, that's so that took center stage, right? I mean, for it to happen all together, you have to think about, Building 7, where the records were kept. You know, what was the guy? It was the guy. Pentagon is missing trillions and trillions of dollars, and then boom, 9/11, and Building 7 goes down, though it was never hit. These
Yeah.
things just don't happen. They don't happen by, you know, like they present them to be happening. And I believe this was, hand in glove, working together. Okay, we're going to do this to move cashless and chipping. That's the goal. That's what they're going for. They want to get people chipped. They want to get people chipped. And so that is what they want. So they take the pulse of the NFL to see how dumb Americans are that keep showing up to the NFL games. And they go, oh, they're pretty dumb because they keep going to NFL games. So now we'll do the breach. Boom, that's done. Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas.
So
And and also,
yes.
well, you talk about Vegas. Vegas got people's minds off of kneeling football players real quick. So what Vegas did is it was the distraction that put everybody's mind back on the distraction. In other words, what I'm saying is this. Okay, we want to distract people from the NFL protests, from Equifax. So here's Vegas. And then people go right back to their football, which is the distraction that we want them to be caught up in. Because, the NFL is every week. We can't have a Las Vegas every week. So, you put people's mind back on the ultimate distraction, which is the NFL, and that keeps their minds off of the things that are going on under the table. In other words, it gets people's minds right back on the bread and circuses.
Well, you see, the whole Vegas internet totally is being completely bungled. Totally bungled. Apparently, after the authorities went to Paddock's house, uh, it was, you're supposed to secure the scene. Well, somebody burglarized Paddock's house. Okay, this is one of the largest crimes against Americans. And you guys couldn't secure his house.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean,
So
that,
it looks more and more like they're trying to muddy the water and trying to get the investigation, everybody's mind off of this because it's full of holes. Swiss cheese. This Vegas thing is so clearly has many, many moving parts. See, I don't believe he ever pulled a trigger. I don't think he ever shot one shot. Paddock. So,
well,
he's a pure patsy in my opinion, and there's a lot of moving parts, and they're muddying the water, and we'll never know it. We'll never get the officials. So, you have one guy. The reason they use one guy is because it's one guy, then it's not a conspiracy, and then you don't bring in the FBI. It's treated as just a regular crime. If he's crazy, then you don't need a motive if he's crazy. So they get one guy that's crazy that doesn't. There's no investigation.
right,
If you have like three people involved, it's a conspiracy. And they did the same thing with JFK. One guy. One guy did all this, right? One
right.
guy did. He controlled all these crazy moving parts. The departure on you can go on, about that, and the Vegas current. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of disinformation. A lot of muddy water. The house being burglarized. If it weren't so serious and evil, it'd be laughable. We're talking Keystone Cop.
Yeah, I mean, the stories keep changing about the security guard, and then the guy, then his house gets broken into, and if it's an ongoing investigation, if it's an ongoing crime scene, if it's an active crime scene, his house is, I think, would be considered a crime scene. Then you would have to guard that house, would you not? I mean,
Yeah.
so
How do yeah? I mean, so you're looking at them laughing at us and go, we can do whatever we want. The problem people have is, they don't believe other people are capable of such evil. Believe everybody's the same, and I would just say to them, there are evil people in this world,
oh, very much so.
they look to do evil, and for them to do just shoot up, kill 50 people, it's not a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Don't even think like that. They don't have any cause or concern or compassion for other people. They have an agenda that they want to get to, and that's them being in charge. And so, for them to get the chip over the line there to get Cassius going, they have completely compromised everybody's identity. And with Equifax leaks, that is exactly what they've done.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think that, we're going to feel the reverberations of this for years and decades to come, and this is going to change the whole game ultimately. But so we'll see, we'll see. Well, Matt, we're out of time now for today's interview for Boat Rockers, making airwaves over the internet waves, and we do appreciate your input, Matt. It's very well appreciated and it's very well treasured. So
Thank you for having me.
very, 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 very thankful to have you on our show, and you're very welcome. And we look forward to more of your input on on future issues. And so, thank you for joining us today, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.